I am winning on all fronts limitlessly.
I have made tremendous improvement at work through delegating and empowering teams.
We started with the law of intentionality, which specifically makes it clear that growth cannot just happen. You have to be intentional about your growth.
CTO Africa Leadership brings you the Grow Journey, a series of masterclasses based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. In this 10-week virtual growth accelerator, you will acquire the skills to thrive and flourish as you evolve into a more impactful and fulfilled individual. You will master the art of personal and professional development as you craft and execute your customized growth plan. Limited seats available. Register now for the next cohort.
Hey there, join the next cohort of CTL Ghana's growth journey.
The next cohort is coming on. Get involved and your life will never be the same.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Leadership Platform. My name is Samuel Ayum. This platform is powered by CTL Africa Leadership, and we've been doing this for several weeks and years now, and we want to thank all of you who join us every Saturday for this learning platform. We are here because we want to improve leadership, we want to improve your personal growth, and we thank you for joining us and making this journey exciting. As always, we bring you accomplished leaders who have something to share. And this week, the session is a time with a CEO where we bring you an accomplished CEO to share his life with us. So we are going to introduce him shortly. And so we encourage you to please share the links with your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channels, and like our pages right now, even as you are watching, so that others will connect. Introduce yourself. Tell us where you are coming from. It is always our joy to introduce you to the world. We know that many of you join this platform and you don't necessarily want to be introduced, but we know also that your friends want to know you are here so they can join. So please feel free to join and introduce yourself, whether you're on Facebook or you are on YouTube. Just let us know your name and where you are joining from. All right, so I see Vivian Osei is here. It says, great to be here, can't wait. All right, please do wait. We will join you shortly. Fred Asare joining from Village of Hope, Gomuafete. Fred, you're welcome. Conrad Kakraba, good to be here. Can't wait to learn from such a great mentor. All right, so please go ahead and introduce yourself. In the meanwhile, we want to remind you that the 9th cohort of the growth journey is beginning soon. Several people, executives, leaders, professionals have gone through this program and they testify of the immense benefits. And so please join. This is it's getting to the end of the month, and when people receive their salaries, what do you think of first? I think personal growth is the last thing on your mind, but this is what is going to give you all the benefits. So think of personal growth, 10 great sessions. If you reduce the cost, it's like just 180 cedis per a session of 2 hours. Look, this is more value than you'll be spending. Last time I heard that some people were buying egg and pepper at 50 cedis at somewhere in East Legon and so on, and buying ice cream for 100 Ghana cedis. So please spend some money to develop yourself. Lift to Lead is coming up on October 4th, and we've started. If you're coming with your team, you have opportunity to register now and save 15% off the ticket. So please get involved. Bring your team, because this is going to help you immensely. Nobody goes to Live to Lead and comes the same. People keep coming every year, and this year is going to be even more powerful. So please join us, start registering now and take advantage of the discounts. Last announcement, every month we announce a book that we are all reading, and we encourage you to read with us. At the end of the month, we will come and do a debrief and pick the lessons and share together, as we've done for the last few months. So please join us. This month's book is Atomic Habits by James Clear, and we want you to please. This is a very, very powerful book, and please just go online. You can probably even find a free audio version to listen to if you can't find a book to buy, but you can buy the book online also. So please get the book Atomic Habits. Very, very powerful book. Please get it. All right. So at this moment, we're going to kickstart, and we have on the platform today somebody that I cherish so much. When I came down from Lome and I wanted to start CTR Africa Leadership, he's the first person that I went to. I've been watching his plays. Usually when we came down on holidays, when I was outside the country, we come on holidays, and every Christmas when we came, me and my family will go and watch the Festival of Plays. That's always on the agenda. Now that I'm here, every quarter I try to go to watch Uncle Ebo's plays. Very, very powerful. So I really wanted somebody who has made it to guide me. I hadn't met him. I've just seen his play, heard him, I follow him on Food for Thoughts for years. And I learned that he doesn't use mobile phones. So I didn't know how to reach him. So I went on the site and I sent him an email. And to my surprise, because a lot of people at his level, who is this person who is sending me an email? He didn't say that. He replied and said, Sam, yes, you can come. Gave me a time. And I went, and he was there. And he gave me great guidance, which is helping me up to now. And I learned later on that this is one of his life passions, is to support a young talent, to support young men and women to become who they can become, to become the best they can become. And since then, he's always been at Live to Lead. He's joined us on the platform a few times, and he's always with us, supporting us. I call him our chief patron for Live to Lead. I'm talking about the people's uncle, Uncle Ebo Whyte. Uncle Ebo, please.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome to the leadership platform. Thank you so very much for doing us the honors.
Well, I could hardly recognize the person you were introducing. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the kind words.
Thank you so much, Uncle Ebo. And the people are when we sent out the flyers, a lot of people are excited to listen to your story. This segment of the leadership platform is basically to to have a close up with you, to share with us your life and your story. We know it's a huge story. I check out and you are hitting 70. You don't look it. Congratulations. We thank God for your life. And so
Thank you.
70 years to box that into an hour is going to be tough, but we will try. Thank you so much.
Well, it didn't be that difficult because most of those 70 were empty. So we wouldn't have to do 70 years.
Well, thank you so much. Even the empty years, God was doing something for those ones. So
yes, yes, I believe so. I believe so.
Great. So let me start from where you are now. We know that you're founder and CEO of Roverman. And please just tell us briefly what's Roverman and because a lot of people may not know Roverman. So tell us Roverman and what is your day with Roverman like every day?
Well, thank you very much for having me. And to you and your team, I admire your commitment to creating leaders in Ghana and in Africa, because that is one of the biggest needs of our time, creating selfless leaders with integrity, those who fear God-fearing leadership, who are resourceful and who can make things happen. So I pray that God will continue to keep you and the rest of the team, that you would be able to achieve this goal that will transform Ghana and transform the world. Roverman. Well, I had to, when I turned 46, God threw a challenge at me. And the challenge was to make a living with my gifts, not with my training, not with my certificates. You know that in Ghana, because of the bread and butter issues, so everybody goes for security. So you don't risk to do anything with passion. Get a good job, so that and you cry anticipate payday. I mean, at least payday will be assured and things like that. So there are a lot of people who are working in all kinds of places who would have loved to work elsewhere. They would have loved to be doing something else. But bread and butter issues, you have to put food on the table and things like that. And so they sacrifice what will bring them passion, what will bring them joy for this. But when I turned 46, that was the challenge the Spirit of God threw at me, that you've got to live on your talent and not on the certificates you have. And so from that day, I threw my certificates away. If you ask me for any certificate, I do not have it. Now, the Roverman then became the vehicle, the platform that I created out of obedience to that call. So Roverman exists to produce to produce my creative outputs, because what God has blessed me with is the ability to tell stories. And so Roverman tells stories in all kinds of forms. So we've done novels, we've done magazines, we've done plays, we've done TV, a few TV, radio theater, and a few TV programs. And we keep on working to explore how far we can take storytelling, because that is consistent with the call that I have been given. So in a nutshell, that is Roverman. Roverman is an act of obedience, an act of faith to what I felt had been the calling of God and the direction of God. I'm sorry if your platform does not have room for God, because you can't have me without hearing God. Because I am here because God has been good to me.
Wonderful. The platform has God fully here. So
Okay.
we thank you so much. But just let's, before we go, let's take that dimension of God, because you made an important point that God threw a challenge. Now, one of the questions people are asking is, yeah, people talk about purpose, people talk about talent, people talk about, living your passion and so on. And we hear people like you say, God spoke to me, and other people say, God told me to do this. And probably some people are waiting for God to come and tell them what to do with their lives. If God doesn't come and tell you and throw you a challenge that He did with Uncle Ebo, how else do you discover your passion? How do you discover your purpose so that you can throw your certificates away and still make it?
I will not advise anyone to do that lightly. Don't forget that I did that at age 46. Um, Meanwhile, way back then, at age 24, I knew that someday creative writing was going to be my major thing, but I didn't have the guts, I didn't have the courage, I didn't have the conviction to step out to do that. But at age 46, I could do it. But what I found later is that nothing was wasted. That all the years that I didn't move in that direction were not wasted. They became useful. They gave me the exposure to be able to manage what I have been given well and what I felt I was being asked to build better. So that is it. Now, how do you discover your passion? I have a simple thing that I say that, especially where we come from, especially in Ghana, it may not always be possible for you to step out and say, I am following my passion. You may die of hunger. It could happen. Or you may die. If you don't die of hunger, you'll die of heartbreak, because there are people who go out of their way to frustrate you, who go out of their way to make life as difficult for you and to ridicule you as much as possible. Um, and so there is something called timing. You've got to also wait your time. And whilst you are waiting on your time, you don't envy other people. Don't be resentful of those who are in their season. What I tell people is that make yourself a servant of anybody whose season is up. Serve them in any possible way that you can. And so in my case, there was a period of 10 years in Ghana that every book that was published in Ghana, I had an input in it. I either edited the book or consulted with the marketing of the book or wrote a foreword or something like that, because I understood that when your time is not up, it is not your season, that's not the time to go around criticizing and pulling people off. That's the time to be busy helping others, serve the purpose of other people, and so that when your time comes, when your season is up, you would also have others who would serve your purpose. And that is what I did. So look for, but in the interim, you should also give whatever you do your very best. There are too many people who are saying that what I really want to do is, let's say, to sing. I want to have a music industry, music ministry. But as for working in the bank, as for working in the civil service, it is just to put food on the table. So I am not putting myself inside. Well, I tell them that if you do that, you will never get a chance to work to achieve your purpose. Today, whatever it is you are doing, throw yourself into it. Achieve excellence, aim at excellence, aim at faultless service in whatever it is you are doing. Whether you think this is what I want to do or what I need to do or not, give it your very best. Love what you do, what it is your hands have found. Whatever your hands have found to do it well. But even more importantly, do it as unto the Lord. That is what the Bible tells us. And so there's nothing like, oh, I'm working at a bank, but no, that is not where I want to be. That may not be where you want to be, but that is where you are. Make your mark. Make your mark so that when you move on, and the people you work with hear that you are doing something else, they would be eager to see what you are doing.
Is it my network or Anchor's network? Okay. So Uncle Ebo is frozen, but I'm sure he will come back. But so far, great insights already. We knew we were going to get great insights. Be a servant to everybody at the moment before you get to your place where you are working at your passion level. Be a servant to everybody. Again, serve, aim for excellence. Whatever you are doing now, do it very, very well, so that when people know what you are doing, they would come and join you. And I cannot agree with this more. Today, what I'm doing is not what I trained to do. I was a lawyer and worked for the corporate world for 24 years. I've been running away from law all my life because that's not what I wanted to do. All right, Uncle Ebo is back. So we'll continue with that. Uncle Ebo, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The network tripped a bit, and I was just sharing and reinforcing the point that you were making, that whatever you're doing now, do it well, aim for excellence, so that you can. Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, thank you so much.
At what point did you miss me?
All right, we miss you when you were making the point that whatever you're doing, do it well, and don't say, because this is not what I want to do, I'm just doing it biara and so on. So when you went off, I was just trying to share my story with them, that I trained as a lawyer. I ran away several times from law, but whilst I was the lawyer of the firm, I did my best, and everybody said, "You're a good lawyer." I mean, my bosses would not let me leave the legal job, but I didn't like the law. I knew I didn't like it. Okay, but because of what I did in my former job, today, everywhere I go and I mention my name and I say, "This is what I used to do." Everybody wants to join what we are doing. And so just by addressing the point there. So thank you for coming back and finish on that point on how.
Well, I didn't actually go away. Technology knocked me off. So.
I know.
Well, no. So let me conclude that point by just saying that the value, the point of giving your best, whether you like what you're doing or not, is this: it would give you the necessary network you need.
Absolutely.
So that when you step out to do anything, your name is already synonymous with great work, with excellence. So when I hear that Mr. Yim is doing this, I know, oh, but you remember him at the bank? That guy delivers results. So this will be wonderful. And then you follow that. So that is a little bit on how to follow your passion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Uncle Ebo. Now, we are already into it. We are learning a lot already. We know that this is what we will get. Now, let's go right from the beginning. We just mentioned that you get into 70, but where did it all start? What was your family background like? You know, were you like some of the dadabas or those of us who are senior Krasinis? What was the family background and how has that shaped you?
Okay. I was the first of 5 boys in the marriage between my father and mother. My mother came into the marriage with a son, and my father also came into the marriage with a son and a daughter. Except that he did not get custody of the children. His first wife had custody of the children, but I got to know about them, especially the boy, because my mother insisted that my father should go and bring him to mentor the 5 of us. My mother felt that we are boys, we would need a role model, and she thought that our big brother, half brother, could become the role model. As it turned out, it almost ended in disaster, because at the time he came back, he had gone off the rails. He was into marijuana, into weed. Not only was he smoking, but he was also a dealer. He sold them, and so he's the reason why I often tell people that I've sold weed before, because sometimes he would leave the stock with me and say that Kobina me kokromaba, obiaba, that kind of things. So I got a bit into that, but I was raised in a suburb of Kumasi called South Centreso. The great thing with South Centreso is that it was not an affluent community, but we had every bit of Ghana at South Centreso. So by the time I grew and left South Centreso, I had a fair exposure to every type of Ghanaian. And so the issue of tribalism, the issue of where is this one from, for me, was absent from the beginning, because my next door neighbor is an Ashanti. After that, you go to Fafra, we have a Bugzanga, we have a Kwawu, we have Ede, we had Ga. So in the classroom, you were sitting in the classroom with people from all kinds of backgrounds. On the playing field, you were playing soccer with all kinds of people from every tribe, ethnic group in Ghana, and these are your friends. They came to your house to eat. You went to their house to eat, and the mothers of the day were excellent. They treated all of us as their children. So, for instance, if you enter the house and they were about to eat, they automatically factored you in and made provision for you. There was something like, okay, Kwabena, we are now going to eat, so can you go home? And then no, you became a part of it. And in the same way, whenever they came to the house, they could count on the hospitality of my mother. There were a few mothers who were chisel, who would not be hospitable, but those were very few. Now, so that is the kind of social background in which I was raised. But at home, I had an issue. I was an introvert. I was a timid boy in a society that did not understand what being an introvert meant. Kumasi does not have time for a timid person, even now. Kumasi is not the place for a timid person. Kumasi is not the place for a reserved person. If you are a reserved person, there are two things they tell you: nimpa and also nimpa. And they would go out of their way to get it out of you. And so, but as if that is not enough, my own mother refused to accept that she had given birth to a timid boy, because my mother was a very feisty woman, a feisty fishmonger. Anything you have read about fishmongers or heard about fishmongers, being feisty, being loud, and whatever it is, my mother was, plus more. Because whereas a lot of women fought with women, my mother refused to fight with women. She fought men and beat them. She never lost a fight. She beat all the men she fought. In the market, at Stars and Trestles, so everybody knew. At a market where she operated, everybody knew. And Tiama does not fight women. She fights men and beat them. So you can imagine a woman like that looking at me, her first son with her new husband, being timid. She couldn't accept it. Now, I see that is not bad enough. My father was a retired boxer and a footballer as well. Outgoing, he spoke all kinds of languages. He spoke Hausa, he spoke everything. So that was, and that for a long time, as it were, defined me as a timid boy who did not belong. And so that made me a loner. It also made me an extremely angry boy. And I took my anger on my kid brother, who was the exact opposite of me. He was outgoing, he was intelligent, he came alive when people were around. I died when there was a crowd. He came alive when there was a crowd. And so you can imagine the comparisons until one day, somehow the Spirit of God told me, why are you angry with your brother? I made him who he is. He didn't make himself that way. Celebrate him. Because I made him who he is, and I've made you who you are. And that was the beginning of a turnaround in my life. When I began to accept who I am and to celebrate my brother. So that if I did anything and you were impressed about it, I said, no, wait till you meet my brother. Wait till you meet my brother. And because he's far better than I am. And so the bond between me and my brother from that point on became one of the closest that we've ever, that you could have. We were at Legon together. He was there a year before me. He got to the university before me. That should tell you how bright my brother was. And our mates could not believe that a brother and two brothers can get on that well. I was in Commonwealth, he was at Mesa Saba. But if you met him and threw any question to him, and you came to me and threw the same question to me, without consulting him, I'll give you the same answer.
Wow.
And vice versa. That we became that close. And it is one of the things.
And you survived at Commonwealth?
No, I was in Commonwealth. He was at Mesa Saba.
You survived. I said, an introvert at
Commonwealth. Oh, I love Commonwealth. I love Commonwealth. I love Commonwealth. I thank God every day that I was resident at Commonwealth, and I'll tell you why. It was the feeling that everybody looked out for everybody. That was the spirit of Commonwealth. I mean, forget about the profane choir, forget about the ponding and the loudness and all that. But for somebody like me, who was even a creative storyteller, that was also a fertile grounds for stories and to know personalities, different personalities. But I love Commonwealth because people looked out for each other. People looked out for each other. And oh, by the way, when I was in school in Commonwealth, we were the only hall whose kitchen prepared enough food for everybody resident in the hall.
Wow.
You know, the other like Equiafo, like Legon Hall, Mesa Saba, were prepared for just a fraction of the population, expecting the rest of you to go to the central cafeteria.
Yes.
So central cafeteria made up for it. But in Commonwealth, you could get food no matter what time you went there. Except that being vandals, we made a game of it. So we had what we call charging. We knew that if everybody stood in the line, everybody would get the food, but we won't stand in the line. You know, you wait for people, you wait for the line, and you try to cross the line. And of course, they will resist you, but you go and do it. And that was all fun. It's today, I see a lot of them. The vandal, the vandal king, and the Bacchus priest. I have met his. We are so close. He became a big man in the Ghana army, and you will not believe how gentle that man is, how gentle and distinguished he grew out to be. If I told his children what he was in at Lagos, they wouldn't believe it. They'll be shocked. But Commonwealth was fun. Commonwealth was so much fun. So, so that's the journey. That's how it began. From that home, from South and Trestle, from having to grapple with who I was, understanding that I was not cast in the general mold. I was different. And to learn not to look down upon who I am, even though it was not acceptable to the society. To understand that different is good, because it is the difference that makes us make an impact. And so that is it. I owe my ability to dream and to think creatively to the fact that I was a loner. I was a loner because of who I was, and today I tell stories from that. So, like I said at the beginning, nothing is wasted in life. Nothing will be wasted in the lives of any of us.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This great lesson. Nothing is wasted. Be who you are, accept who you are, and take advantage of that. That is good. So from Commonwealth, you talk about up to 46. What were you doing all those years? And
I've had a very varied background. I've had the privilege to do all kinds of things. So from Commonwealth, by the way, I worked with SNIT for 6 years before going to school, before continuing my education, before going to the university. But from Commonwealth, I worked with a book publishing company. And then from there, moved to a book selling company. So I moved from a book publishing company to a book distribution company that had bookshops across Ghana. And I think at that time we had about 90% of our market, the market share of the books that we dealt in. From there, I didn't leave that company willingly. I was fired. 9 charges were leveled against me, and I was fired. I was home for 1.5 years. I called those the wilderness years. Eventually, when God decided to restore me, I began by working for my junior from secondary school. I had been his SP, but he became my employer. Then from there, went to work with an banking financial institution. We, at that time, ran about 6 forex bureaus across in Kumasi, 2 in Accra, here, 1 in Sekandi, Takoradi, Tema, and things like that. So all over the place. And then when the remittance companies were permitted to start, we also went into the remittance business. I think we were one of the first to legitimize our involvement in it, because the foreign bureaus were doing remittances under the table. Do you understand? But when the LI was published, we were the first, one of the first to get into that. And from there, I went to work with a pharmaceutical company as the general manager for that pharmaceutical company. I loved working there because I loved the couple I was working for. They treated me well. And then from there, went to work with an automobile company.
Wow.
And so, as you can see, I've sold books, I have sold pharmaceuticals, I have sold automobiles, and I have sold money. I have
Yeah.
sold hard currency, and
Yeah.
that is my background.
Yeah. Uncle Ebo, I mean, I've heard you share this story somewhere about when you were fired and the circumstance and how it turned out. A lot of us face some of these things where, like you say, some things are laid against you when you are innocent. And can you throw a bit more light on that particular aspect of your life and how it impacted you and how the lessons you
Okay.
learned from?
So I had just returned from a trip um, from North America, both US and Canada. I've had the rare privilege of being given an industry tour. So I was exposed to how um, books were published, how they were sold, that kind of thing. A number of leading publishing companies at the time, international, multinational publishing companies, hosted me then, and got a chance to move around, got a chance to see how things were done. In the process, I met a few people who, some of them seemed to get so impressed with the way I thought and the way I handled myself that they could not they could not keep their feelings. So they wrote to Ghana and said, "We have met your Mr. White. He is fantastic. Why haven't um, been allowing him to come on the annual meetings with your principals? Because we, the principals, would like to be he. We wish he's the one we would deal with." And my people in Ghana, upon receipt of that, decided that it was better to get rid of me.
Wow.
Because if one international trip, I was getting rave reviews about who I was. If I lasted longer, what else would happen? And so a series of traps were set. And being innocent, being naive, I fell into them easily. And as a result of that, gave them enough grounds to be able to carry out what they were doing. So the case had to go to court. I took the case to the High Court. The High Court ruled that none of the charges would stick, that none of the charges had been proven or could be proven. But the High Court also ruled that no company can force no court can force a company to work with somebody. You are a lawyer, so I'm sure you would understand that kind of principle in law.
Yes.
And so it was a strange kind of victory. Do you understand me? On one hand, we clear you of all those things. They've not been proven. They couldn't be proven. So you are not guilty of them. But on the other hand, we cannot also force your former employers to take you back, because the court cannot force employers to have somebody work with them. And because I did not ask for any compensation and things like that, that was how it ended. And I was happy it ended that way, because I just wanted to clear my name. But the interesting thing was not even the charges and how long it took me to clear myself. It is what I became in the days when I was home. Because I went from feeling of shame. If you've never gone through that kind of situation, you must understand that at that point, I was a very high profile person. I was a high profile because of the company I was working with, and because of my gift. I've always had this gift of telling stories through plays. And so I was not an unknown quantity. And then you know how news spreads very quickly. And then you know how people would add their own versions and enrich the stories that go on and on and on and on. And so um, I always felt there was a time when I couldn't go out in the day because it felt like everybody had heard about my disgrace, and it felt like everybody was judging me. That's how I felt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I learned then that it's about God. Who are we? I mean, from that point, I realized forget about reputation. Because we'll bury you anyway. We'll bury you on the ground when your time is up. It is not about that. It's about what you do to honor God in your life. What you do to make someone's life lighter, someone's load lighter. What you do to let somebody have an easy path in life. What you do to share. Those are all things that came from my years in the wilderness. But I also learned to depend on God more and to trust Him, because I was running a single income home. So with me out of job, it meant that we should have starved. Not only was I running a single income home, I had an aging mother to support, and I had two brothers in school that I was supporting. And yet, in the days that I was home, we had more to eat than when I was working.
Wow.
The provision of God was amazing. We'll wake up and somebody has left rice and oil at the door. I tell the story that my first Christmas at home, I woke up in the morning and said, "Oh God, what are we going to do?" Because normally Christmas, if nothing at all, as for cocoa there, we could afford. But now I can't afford a cocoa. And just around that time, my wife runs in and says, "Come and see." And tied to a tree in the compound was the biggest white sheep I ever saw.
Wow.
Now this is a house with security. So I called the security guy and said, "Brahma, who brought it?" And Brahma said, "Masa, I know see him." But so I learned to be courageous in God. I learned that He will keep you.
Yeah.
He will keep you. Do that. You honor Him. If there's any fallout, don't be afraid. He will keep you.
Yeah.
And then that is where, if you've ever heard me speak, you would likely have heard this statement from me. Resurrection is possible. That was from those days, that resurrection is possible. That circumstances may crucify you and bury you. Some people may target you and destroy you. It doesn't matter. Don't respond with bitterness. You continue looking upon God and unto God with an open heart. Free your mind of all bitterness, and you'll find the same God who raised Jesus, raising you also from the depths to which they have sunk you.
Amen. Amen.
So that is a bit, a brief version of 1.5 years of my days in the wilderness.
Yeah. You know, I mean, this is moving, but there's a lot to dig in from there, and we thank you for opening that up also for us. Thank you so much. So now back again to your talent and how you got onto the stage. Would you want to share with us how that happened?
Yeah. So I'd love to share that story. I said that I'm sure a lot of people would have heard it already. So at the risk of boring all of you, remember a lawyer has ordered me to tell you. So if you have any issue, have an issue with the lawyer who is leading the discussion. But I got into theater by accident in secondary school. When I was in secondary school, Form 3, I went to a day secondary school, Osu Presby Secondary School. Now, because of the success of Presec Legon, all the Presbyterian secondary schools now are called Presec. So now we are Presec Osu. But in those days, we were Osu Presbyterian Secondary School. It was a day school, and when I was in Form 3, again, remember those were the days of the timid Ebo Whyte, James White.
Yeah.
I didn't have the courage to join the drama group because it had all the popular people in the school, and I didn't think I belonged there. I didn't think I deserved to be in their midst. And so I joined some other group, other club. Now, when I was in Form 3, in those days, for the School of Performing Arts at Legon, the final year students for directing were sent to secondary schools to direct and produce a play at the school as their project work. So one student came to the school to direct a play. The rehearsals was always after school in the assembly hall, and I was fascinated by what this was about. So I'll go and stand in the window and watch them rehearse every afternoon. As soon as school closed, I made a beeline, not for the assembly hall, but to stand in the window of the assembly hall, because I didn't think I deserved to enter. And I would watch with keen attention. If you ask me now, I wouldn't be able to tell you what drove that interest. I'd never seen a play before. I'd not been exposed to drama in any form before. But there was something irresistible about what they were doing that gripped me, that held me. And so once everybody was rushing home, I was glued there watching them and watching with keen interest. Now, in the beginning, I was not the only one standing in the window. I think we were about more than 10 or so. But by the third week of rehearsals, all the others had fallen out. So I was the only one standing in the window. Now, the production was not going well. Rehearsals was not going well. The lead actor was struggling with his lines. He was struggling with the directions being given him by the director. He was struggling with the mechanics that he had been taught. And the man was frustrated because he had 5 weeks to produce the play.
Wow.
And this was the third week, and it wasn't going well. So on this particular day, the cast met. The man was ready to go. He needed to make up time, and the main actor was not around. The guy playing the main character was not there. Everybody in the room had a role to play because all the other members of the drama club had also stopped attending. Because why attend? I mean, I'm not going to play. Now, so he could not let any of them read for this guy. In desperation, and they couldn't wait for the guy because he was hopelessly behind time. So he looks around, and I was the only human being that he could see standing in the window. So he said, "Hey, you come." And even though I was the only person standing there, I still looked behind me to be sure because I couldn't believe that he was calling me. And then he said, "Why are you looking behind you? You are the only one standing there. Come." I went in there and he said, "Here, a script. Read here for us. Read this character for us." So he gives me the script. About 10 minutes later, he stops the rehearsals and he asked me, "Have you done this before? Have you done this play before?" And I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "So how do you know the play?" Because in the 3 weeks that I have been standing in the window, I had memorized the whole play.
Wow.
I had memorized the directions he was giving the cast. All of it. So I knew about the movements. I knew on what lines to move, how many steps to take, in what direction. I knew which hand to use for gestures, depending on where I was standing and all that. And he had noticed that I wasn't reading the script. Well, long story short, by the time the guy came in 15 minutes later, he had lost the role.
Wow.
I had become the new main character, and that was my introduction. That is how I got into theater.
Wow.
And then after school, a friend of mine who unfortunately we lost last month, Enoch Kese, introduced me to the Youth for Christ drama troupe, J Theater. And an interesting thing happened there also, because when I got in, it was a stunning group. It's a stunning group. The members were regular and all that. They were working on the play. They had about 2 weeks to go for production. And I was a new boy, so I would just go and just sit there and watch them, because the production was so well and so advanced that they didn't have time to pay attention to the new boy. Then comes the day of production, and the director then had done what the book says a director should do. He had a double cast for every character, 2 people for each character, which is what the book says you should do. Unfortunately for him, on the day of the production, this was at Kolebu at the NTC hall, the 2 boys he had casted as the lead character, each of them independently stayed at home and told themselves that the man will let the other guy do it. So why bother to come? So they stayed away. So imagine the situation. And remember, this was in 1974. We didn't have mobile phones to call people and check on them to see, are you coming? Where have you reached? So we are waiting. 30 minutes later, people began to leave. 45 minutes later, more people began to leave. We were waiting. Every other person is there, apart from these 2 guys, one of whom will play the main character. So about an hour, 15 minutes later, I went to the director and said, look, if we don't start the play, there will be nobody left in the room, because it was a free show. And the problem with free shows is that if somebody gets up and leaves, he hasn't lost anything. He didn't pay, so he's not going to ask for his money to work. So, and then the man flared up and said, "What do you expect me to do? The guys are not in." I said, "Well, then let me play the role." He said, "No, but you've never even rehearsed it. We've never rehearsed it with you. You don't know the play." I said, "What do you have to lose? I've been here 2 weeks. I think I have picked the play up." And reluctantly, because more and more people were leaving, he had to allow me to go on stage. And that was when he discovered that I had memorized the whole play. I performed the main role, without any issues, without any problems at all. Now, 2 weeks after that, just about 2 weeks or 3 weeks after that, the director, who was working with the medical service, with the health service, was transferred from Accra to Tamale. So he called me to a meeting and said, "I have been transferred to Tamale. I need to leave the group in good hands. I know you are new in this group, but from what you did at the production, I can't think of any better person to take over from me. So I'm handing the group over to you." And that is how I got into theater. That's how I became the artistic director of J Theater, and that is how it all began.
Wow. This is truly interesting. Akelebo, how do you explain this in terms of the idea that some people are lucky, you are lucky, and so on? What will you tell people? Is it about taking risk? Is it about preparing? What explains your ability to take up in these situations that you've explained?
I think it would take a certain kind of mindset to call a man who was dismissed and who was home for 1.5 years lucky. No, there has not been anything about luck here. I think what we should all learn is that opportunities come our way. The question is, what do you do with the opportunity? Would you, because especially with this generation, where because of our mobile phones, we never concentrate on anything. So you could be present in a setting, but you are not present. You know, you are engaging yourself on your phone. Then every now and then, when you find that people are laughing, then you raise your head to see, oh, what are they laughing about? And then you go back. So we lose and we miss a lot of things. We miss a lot of opportunities because opportunity does not come dressed as opportunity. Opportunity has no costume as opportunity. And so when you are available, when you are present, you make yourself available. You can then catch opportunities that other people may not even catch it. Because it was not lucky that I was standing in the window. I was driven there by something that me myself I can't explain.
Yeah.
It was not with the expectation that I'll be invited in. I was just happy watching them living their dream and having a great time. That was all. I was just fascinated about, whoa, this must be interesting. This must be nice. But that was all I thought I could do. Just stand there and just admire. So if you think it was lucky that I was invited into the room by the director, well, what about the fact that I memorized the play, listening to them read it, and listen to them deliver the lines? But because I was present, I could follow the story and it could stick in my mind. So lucky, no. I believe rather in the grace of God. I believe in the calling of God, and I believe that I am not special to God. So whatever opportunities He brings my way, for everybody, His opportunity. The question is, would you be awake for your opportunity? Would you be attentive for your timing? Or would you be consumed by all kinds of non-essentials?
Yeah.
In other words, you know, our mentor talks about intentional living.
Absolutely.
And it is important that you've got to be intentional about life. Absolutely. So if you are in a meeting, you are in a meeting.
Yeah.
If for any reason you don't want to be in the meeting, get up and go. But if you're in the meeting, pay attention to the meeting. Don't be in the meeting and be in another chat room somewhere else, because then you are cheating yourself. Absolutely. If you're on a journey, you're on a journey. Take in the route. Take in the journey. Take in the sights. Because you may never come this way again. But there are people who just, their head is bowed all the time. They are on their phone. And so you may as well not have made a journey. Because you didn't see the beauty along the road. You didn't see the range of humanity that you drove past them. And so it is not about luck. It's about being present. Be present and be willing to serve. And be willing to take that step. Even when you know I may make a fool of myself, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and make a fool of yourself. I tell people, give yourself permission to be human and permission to fail. It's okay. You will learn from it. Absolutely. And you will get better. And when you master it, people will not remember your beginnings when you failed. Absolutely. They'll remember what you are doing now, the impact you are making now.
Absolutely. Wow. This is really deep. As John would say, opportunity plus preparation. If you have any definition for luck, that is it. If your opportunity comes and you are not prepared, you cannot take advantage of it. He was watching, he was prepared. When the chance came, he took it, took the risk and he went ahead. We will take a short break now, and then please send in your questions. We have a few more questions. We are going to ask Uncle Ebo what are some of the principles that has helped him, what are his thoughts on leadership, what has what is the future holds for him at this age, and so on. So we'll come to those questions and also send in your questions. We'll take a short break for Uncle Ebo to take some water, and then we'll come right back.
Dear friend, my name is Samuel Ayim of CTL Africa Leadership, and I would like to invite you to our free weekly webinar, The Leadership Platform. The Leadership Platform is your space for learning everything leadership and personal development. We have been holding the Leadership Platform for the last 3.5 years every week, and thousands of leaders from all walks of life have benefited from the rich lessons from experienced leaders. As the year goes on, we are going to bring you even more enriching content. We're going to have a session called Leaders Are Readers, where every month we will bring you a book that all participants will be encouraged to read. We will share the summary of those lessons for you to guide you. We will also bring you a session on meeting with a CEO, where we will bring an experienced CEO from any industry to share their story and their lessons as leaders. Again, we will bring you the extraordinary leadership stories, where we scout out for emerging entrepreneurs and leaders doing extraordinary things in different fields to inspire you to do better. And of course, we will bring you the normal topics in leadership and personal development that would enrich your leadership. So I hope you make a date with us, CTL Africa, every Saturday, 7 p.m. on the Leadership Platform, live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. On our YouTube, you can also check some of the previous lessons for free. Make a date with us, CTL Africa, on the Leadership Platform, this and every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Thank you so much, Joy and the team, for that, and welcome back. We are still with the people's uncle, Uncle Ebo Whyte, and he's sharing his story. As we said, there's so much to pick from Uncle Ebo's life and so much lessons to learn that we know that this 1.5 hours is not enough. But so far, we've already had enough. I'm sure that another time we will invite Uncle to come. So please send in your questions and comments. I've seen quite a bit of comments already, huge numbers of comments. I'll come to read some of them. Anas says, wow, very refreshing, and so on. So thank you. We will come. Let's finish a few questions with Uncle Ebo. Uncle Ebo, I've been following Food for Thoughts. It's something I don't miss on JFM.
Okay.
How long have you been doing that? I have been trying as much as I can to join your quarterly play. How long have you done that? But my question is, how do you get the energy? How do you get how do you get the ideas to constantly, produce powerful lessons? I mean, twice a week on the Food for Thought, every quarter there's a play. How do you do that?
Counsel, you've asked so many questions. Which of them do you want this witness to answer?
Actually, but how do you do these things?
uh, well, there's I chose to focus. I decided this is what I've been given to do.
Yeah.
And so I sacrificed everything for that. Everything in my life must align with this one thing of telling stories. If not, I'm not interested. I resigned from all boards, or from my membership of all board of directors. Sometimes they would say, "Oh, we meet only once a quarter." I said, "No, no, no, no. I can't give you the kind of commitment because I'm focused here." So the first thing is realigning my life, and so that this becomes the focus. This becomes the only thing. The second, the second thing is that I have learned to simplify my life. And so there isn't any unnecessary thing in my life now as far as the focus of telling the stories is concerned. Anything that will not empower me, that will not create a platform for me, that will not give me the opportunity to tell a story, that will not provide me with some material that I could use, I'm not interested in it. And so you can't get me to hang out just for hanging out sake. There must be a reason for it. So focus, simplify your life, and then it also helps that this began from my 46th bed, when I was past 46. By that time, most of your foolishness you have done already. You understand me? A lot of the things that you thought were exciting as a young man, and the things you chased, the things you invested so much energy in, you have done.
Yeah.
And you have found how foolish they were. They were greater to you then. You threw yourself into it and you realize, oh, my Jimmy, you've done all that. It's all behind you. Yeah. And so I think for me, one of the mercies God showed me was that He permitted me to do this at this time, in my later years instead of my earlier years, because I think if I hadn't learned the lessons I have learned in 46 years of trying all kinds of things, I believe I would have blown this thing up, because this is awesome. What He's giving me to do is huge. It is massive. People say, "Uncle, but you have no idea what impact you are making." I have every idea the impact I'm making. I know because I am trusting God to do more. I know because I know where it is coming from. It's coming from the God who is good, who empowers us, who gives us grace to honor Him and to glorify His name. And so I know, but I want more, and I do. I am positioned to do more. But I would have blown it if it had been given to me earlier.
Yeah. Good. So share with us some of the driving principles and values that have helped you in your life.
Because I know how many books you've read, I'm going to put my mind in ways that you won't find in any book. So, principle number one, and I bet you won't find this in any book. Don't let them make an excuse for you. Don't let them have to make an excuse for you. And let me explain. I'm a playwright, a Ghanaian playwright operating in Ghana. Um, I know how the world thinks of Ghanaians and Africans. The world does not have very high expectations of us. And so if you don't do well, you still get an applause because the environment itself is not that challenging. The standards are not that high. The bar is low. But I decided that don't work with the bar they give you. Don't work with the standard around you. Aim high. And so I have said before, if you gave me an award for the leading Ghanaian playwright, I won't take it. If you gave me an award for the leading Christian playwright, I won't take it. Give me the award as the best playwright. Now, so put it in that category. If I don't win the award, I would like to learn from the one who won the award. You know, this issue of cutting a small category for me, what you are saying is that Ghanaians don't have high standards, but among the Ghanaians who don't have high standards, this guy's standard is higher than the other low standards.
Yeah.
In other words, don't let them make an excuse for you.
Yeah.
Compare me with the best in the world, and if I don't measure up, I would like to learn from the one who has attained it. Principle number two, and again, I know how many books you've read, so I will dribble you. I won't give you the principles you see. Number two, for a burnt offering, God said, don't bring me an animal with defect. Lawyer, you know what I'm talking about. For a burnt offering, we are going to burn the whole animal.
Yeah.
It's not as if we are going to chop this animal. We are burning the animal to ashes. And God said, when you are bringing an animal to me to burn to ashes, don't bring me an animal with defect. From that, I realized that the God we serve has standards, and He has the highest possible standards. Unfortunately, sometimes you find among Christians anything goes, and I said, no, not with this God. With the God of the Bible, no, you can't say anything goes. It has to be of the very best. It has to be of the very highest standard. And so if you see me pushing myself and my team, I'm doing that because the God we are serving says, don't bring me an animal with defect for a burnt offering. Bring me an animal that has no defect. And so don't bring me a half-hearted effort. Don't bring me half-baked ideas. Don't bring me things that you haven't thought through fully. Yeah. Bring me your very best. Your very, very best. And that is what God demands and deserves. Now the last one, number 3. And this drives me. When I stand before God, what would I say? My brother, we'll stand before God with the Japanese, with the Germans, with the Chinese, and with everybody. The Japanese, the Chinese, the Germans, and all are going to come with what they did with the brains God gave them, what they did with the environments God gave them, what they did with opportunities God gave them, with the challenges God gave them, how they fought hard to turn situations around. What would I say when I stand before God? What would I say when He asks me, what did you do with the brain I gave you? What would you do? What did you do with the strength I gave you? What did you do with the times in which I positioned you? I got you to be born. Because every time, every season of every community, every society has its challenges. We are alive for this season for a reason. Is it easy? No. We are supposed to make it easy for those who will come after us. So what have you done with this season, with this juncture of life, of history that you've been put in, that would make subsequent generations have a better life, have a cheaper and an easier life? But how would you answer to God? That drives me. And so I am committed to ensuring that when I stand before God, I'll have an answer. But I said that was the last one. Let me give you number 4. Number 4, again, I challenge you. You won't find this in any book. Number 4, my coffin must be light. My coffin, when they are going to bury me, my coffin must be light. There are too many coffins that are heavy. They are heavy because there's potential that was never used. So that potential is in the coffin. There are ideas that were never explored. So that those ideas are in the coffin. There are businesses that were never that were never started, and those businesses are in the coffin. There are inventions that were never discovered and made, and those are in the coffin. The person is going with them. We are going to bury him with it. His coffin is very big, very heavy. I decided I'm putting it all here. I'm laying it all on the table. My coffin will be light beer. So, lawyer, I bet you won't see any of them in any book. But I have applied.
I confess and I accept guilty as charged. Oh wow! But this is so good. This is so good. This is so good. Well, I'm trying to see if people have some questions. There's so many good comments, and people are learning a lot. I think the question that I found is somebody was asking, when you were fired and you didn't have a job, were you a pastor? Or if you are not a pastor, what role were you playing in the church that God will send you a goat like Abraham?
No, I've never been a pastor. I've never been a pastor. No, it was a Christian organization, but it was not church.
Yes. Okay. I think Mami Bafo from Holland is asking, how long does it take to achieve a mastery in your industry?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I think it takes as much time as you are prepared to make yourself available. So somebody may come into this industry and in a year accomplish so much because that person's whole life has become this.
Yes.
The concentration is higher. The person is intentional about what he's doing. Another person may be doing this and trying other things as well. And so his journey will take a little bit longer.
Yeah. All right. Araba is asking, can you share any event or mindset that was a turning point for overcoming the timidity? I think he shared something about, so that's her question.
It is a scripture. I think it's in 2 Timothy that says that God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of love, power, and self-control. So that that verse in the Bible, that God has not given us a spirit of timidity, is what challenged me, and I decided if God did not give it to me, then I don't want it. And then the battle to shake the shackles of timidity began from that point.
Great. Uncle Ebo, please. My question is, what would you consider your biggest regret since you started Roverman Production? And what advice will you give to the youth who are afraid to make mistakes and grow?
Why does a person talk about regret? Regret, you move on from it.
Yes.
So I'll turn it around. My greatest achievement in Roverman is that I have become a more disciplined person, a more focused person. Because you see, my brother, at the end of the day, it's not about who you change. It is about who you become. And if you don't become a better person, then you've cheated yourself. Then you become a signboard. You know, a signboard will direct people as to the right way, but will never itself get there. And my focus in all this has been that you know what Paul said, that I fear that I may get people into the kingdom and I myself may be disqualified. And I have fought against that. I have decided that if God is going to use me to bless people, I want to position myself so I'll be the first to be blessed too. Yeah. And that will be my greatest achievement. That people don't know this. My staff, I've told them, I hate to write. Writing does not come easy to me. I hate to write. Now, lawyer, you write, and you know how difficult it is to write.
Actually, I hate to write you. I prefer to talk.
Yes. So to be able to produce a play every quarter, I just finished the first draft of my next play. But just before I came on air, I was reading through it and editing it. But it's not. It doesn't come easy. So to be able to master the discipline and put in the work and be consistent at it, that is a great achievement for me. Forget about those who are impacted. I am happy that this has also impacted me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Now, Selassie is asking, Uncle, we have just 3 minutes to end to the top. Will you give us 5 more minutes? And for those who want to go at the end of the hour, please feel free. If Uncle will give us 5 more minutes, we will take it.
Sure. Let's do it. Sure.
All right. Thank you so much. And if you want to leave at 7:30, 8:30, please, you can go. But Uncle, thank you so much for the minutes. Selassie is asking, when you started the quarterly plays, you did not have much audience. How did you have the confidence to dedicate resources and commit full time to something you were unsure will succeed?
When we started the quarterly plays, we sold out National Theatre twice. So we had the audience. It is when I started the commercial theater that I didn't have the audience. And so my first 3 plays bombed. I didn't have an audience then. So the first 3 commercial plays that I wrote and directed. Before then, I was the artistic director for Youth for Christ Drama Troupe, J Theatre. That one, most of our productions were for free. And free always has an audience. We filled out any auditorium we used. So that was not a problem. But when I decided that I was going to make this a business, my first 3 productions bombed. They failed. But there were lessons there that I learned. But when I had learned those lessons, and in 2008, did the first play as Roverman. On the 6th of September 2008, on Happy Wives, Confused Husbands, we sold out National Theatre twice. The first time a play has filled National Theatre.
Wow!
So that is the true picture.
Yeah. And Selassie's follow-up question is: do you think consistency played an important part of your success? What was its impact? I think it's
not consistency. It's is competing with ourselves to be better every time, not consistency. To be better every time. So no matter how regular you are at my productions, every quarter you would have a different experience. You will have something that you haven't had before.
Yeah.
Because we are raising the bar every time. We are challenging ourselves all the time. We are trying new things all the time. So it's all consistency. We are always pushing the frontiers and thinking outside the box, reaching out for new levels.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Portia Ejayabua is asking, what the question is, what did you do? Very thought-provoking question, and thinking about it, I'm scared. How do you know if you are doing? I think it's your best. I'm not getting the question. Maybe he asked something earlier that I missed, but he says, how do you know if you are doing your best?
Or you know, if you are doing your best, you know.
Yeah.
If you are doing your best, you know. You will know. There will be an inner witness that will tell you this is a good job done. You will know.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm not seeing any more questions here. So I have plenty of questions, but time will not let me ask all of them. So let me just ask Uncle Ebo. What is your advice to us listening to you, given the state of leadership in our country today?
Lead yourself first. Lead yourself. Aim at being a leader of yourself. One of the reasons why leadership has failed, and there has been a lot of leadership seminars and leadership training in the last few years in Ghana. One of the reasons why leadership has failed at all levels is because people want to go and lead other people instead of leading themselves. And so it's like, I'm coming to tell you how you should behave, how you should work, how you should conduct yourself, instead of I am going to be the difference you need to see. And that is what is lacking. Leaders who themselves submit to the very principles they are teaching. Leaders who walk by the very values they teach. Leaders who are also who practice the very principles and the values they are teaching. Without that, we lose authenticity.
Lead yourself first. John Maxwell will say, if you cannot lead yourself, why should anybody follow you? So lead yourself first. That's very, very important. All right. Uncle Ebo, my very final question is, what is next for Uncle Ebo Whyte? With all that you've given to the society and where you are since 46, and you keep giving, what is next? What should we expect?
An auditorium of my own.
Wow.
An auditorium with an ambience that when you walk in, you would immediately feel that you are home. You immediately feel glad that you are alive. An ambience will give you the kind of auditorium that you won't find anywhere, with a kind of ambience and environment that will be healing. And so that is going to be, and then when that is done, we'll move from quarterly shows to 8 shows a week.
Wow.
So that every evening, if you want to go and hang out somewhere, come to the show, come to the venue. There'll be something going on every evening.
Wow. We can't wait. We can't wait. Uncle Ebo Whyte, I mean, there's a lot we can learn from you, and one of these days we will invite you again. But thank you so much for the time you spent with us. Please, when we close, we would like you to just hang around for 2 minutes when we end. But what will be your final parting shots? What will you be your last words for all of us as we listen to you and hear your story?
The important thing is not to hear. The important thing is to do. If all of us who are on this platform right now, we know enough that if we practice, we'll be exceptional.
Absolutely.
The knowledge that will transform our lives is not yet to come. We already have it. So the little that you know, work with it. The little that you know, work with it. You don't need to acquire every knowledge in every book. You don't need to meet every leadership guru. You don't need to meet every motivational expert. No. What you know today, work with it. Apply it. And if you did the best you can to apply everything you've ever learned, you will be exceptional. And that is what I'd like to leave you with.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Uncle Ebo Whyte. We've learned a lot in this short time, and I'm sure that we'll keep digging and learning. And for the team behind the scenes, I want to thank you, Sarah. I want to thank you, Joy, Vivian, and all the others who have worked to bring this. We want to thank Elsie from Uncle Ebo's end, who helped us to get Uncle Ebo Whyte. And we want to thank all of you who made it this evening on the leadership platform. Once again, let me remind you that Growth Journey, the next cohort, is beginning soon. Please check out and register. You would never, your life would your growth would change. Live to Lead is up. Please, our next book, the book that we are reading for this month, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits. Please get a copy either online or get an audio version. At the end of the month, we'll come and share the powerful lessons that James Clear shares about habits and how your habits can make you or make you. So get that book. On that note, I want to thank everybody and wish you well. Tomorrow, Sunday, Uncle Ebo has told us how powerfully God has blessed his life. Find a place in your heart and find a church that would help you to know God better and fellowship with. Have a very good evening. God bless all of you. This has been the Leadership Platform. My name is Samuel Ayim. Thank you and have a very good night. Bye-bye.
I am winning on all fronts limitlessly.
I have made tremendous improvement at work through delegating and empowering teams.
We started with the law of intentionality, which specifically makes it clear that growth cannot just happen. You have to be intentional about your growth.
CTL Africa Leadership brings you the Grow Journey, a series of masterclasses based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. In this 10-week virtual growth accelerator, you will acquire the skills to thrive and flourish as you evolve into a more impactful and fulfilled individual. You will master the art of personal and professional development as you craft and execute your customized growth plan. Limited seats available. Register now for the next cohort.
Hey there, join the next cohort of CTL Ghana's Growth Journey.
The next cohort is coming on. Get involved and your life will never